Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shreyas newsletter and our podcast show called Minimalist Techie. Appreciate you being here so we can connect weekly on interesting topics. You guys can simply add your email ID here so you can directly get this directly into your inbox. And if you are new here, do subscribe to our show Minimalist Techie or over the Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube podcast. Or um, you can just come to my website sridhargaripati.substack.com. You can directly listen this episode on your browser as well. You don't If you don't want to subscribe, still it's okay. In all these platforms, even on the websites, this episode is completely free, so you can just click on play button and just hear it on your own speed. So this weekly newsletter is mostly about the articles, books, videos, etc. I read or watch, or my views on a different topics which revolves around my head during the week. So let's dive into today's topic. Uh, Today's topic is about things to do in the first 6 months when coming on H1B visa from India to the USA. Last week I did a different episode which is on decoding the H1B journey, where we talked about certain challenges, what you need to know before you come to the US. So I got pretty good um, views in different podcast platforms, almost like 350 people have listened to that. So that's the reason I'm doing one more. So if you're looking something, just let me know. So today we are discussing about things you need to do in the very first 6 months when coming on H1B visa from India to the USA. So if you are new, if you are someone who is actually planning to move to the USA on a H1B visa or have already arrived here, then this episode is especially for you. See, moving to the US is an exciting yet it's a pretty overwhelming experience, especially if it is your first time. Because I recall my 2010 very first visit. So it's not just about adapting to a new country, but also about understanding how things work here and setting up yourself for the success. So today I will walk you through what to do in the first 6 months of your move, covering everything from housing and finances to the work culture and the personal adjustments. Okay, so we can get started. Let's talk about very first header perspective is more like, when I say very first bullet point, for me I'm writing article first, then I'm doing a podcast. So for me the very first subheading is more like pre-arrival preparation, which is nothing but planning before you leave India. Moving to the USA actually starts long before you actually board the flight. So here are a few key things in order for you to prepare yourself while you're still in India. First thing, make sure please review your offer letter. Yes, you have waited so many number of months in order for your H1B to get picked up. It got picked up. You got your uh, visa got stamped. You're going to come pretty soon here. If that's the case, then do make sure please review your offer letter which your employer is giving. Look at your offer letter very carefully. Check the income which is being offered and compare it with the medium household income in the county where your work is located. Like take example, I'm in Virginia. Say if I'm in Fairfax County, then I have to make sure that what is the Fairfax County median household income. So like in the current Virginia and this Fairfax County or London County, Prince William counties, these counties are like pretty higher. Their medium household income in the county is near to 150K, right? So in the US, every county has a medium income standard that reflects the cost of living. So you can just Google around based upon wherever you're going into the US. Just Google for the medium income house. What is the medium household income of that particular county? Yeah, I think the definition is pretty standard. What government or the county is saying that in order to have a decent life, uh, in order to live in their county at a household level, which means at a household level, someone should make, as example, in uh, Fairfax County of Virginia, you have to make at least 150K, which means if you're a single person coming, then you have to make sure you're at least you're at least having a job offer of 150K. Or if you and your spouse both are working, then make sure together. So that's what household income means. Household income means in a house all the adults who are actually making that income together, the gross total, if it reaches 150K, that's the household income. So so, for example, if you're moving to an expensive area like a Silicon Valley, forget about Silicon Valley, New York City, Seattle, California, there, forget about 150. There, you need to have a decent life. You need to have make at least 250K above, right? So, I'm talking about like a good premium suburbs, like in Virginia, in the DC metro area. If you say, if you're coming with an annual income of 85,000, then, or if you're coming to a New Jersey in a suburb with an income of 85,000, somewhere near to General Square, then definitely $85,000 income might not be enough for you to cover your housing, groceries, transportations, and any other expenses. See, knowing the medium household income will actually help you to decide where to live, how to budget, and whether you need to renegotiate with your employer or look for a better offers in the future. Yeah. Yeah, when I say look for better offer, maybe the very first time you want to come in, try for your 6 months with the current employer. Then, if you want to make a switch because the employer is not making you a good offer, then at least for a future perspective, you'll be know that you need to look for a better offer from your future perspective as well. Yeah. And arrange for your temporary accommodation. So if you know someone in the area you're moving to, then friends, relatives, anyone. So ask if they're okay with hosting you for the very first 2 weeks. This will give you some breathing room to explore housing options. So if you don't know anyone, then please ask your employer if they can book in a hotel for first 2 weeks or reimburse the temporary lodging cost. Many employers actually offers the relocation support by giving you 1 month salary in advance or 2 weeks of an hotel stay. So, or a car rental for 1 week. So don't hesitate to ask. Make sure that you have arranged your temporary accommodation. And another option is to use the platforms like Sulekha US classifieds. Yes, Sulekha is something is there in India also. And it's, if you are looking for an Indian roommates, or if you're looking for rooms where, if you're not looking for entire apartment, or if you're looking for only for one room, sharing room, then you can look for Sulekha US classifieds. You can find Indian roommates as well. Or in the social media groups, wherever the county you are going, look for the particular groups where the current desi community is there. Or you can always, if you don't want to Indian roommates, you can always find the additional non-Indian roommates as well. You can look into the other classifieds like Craigslist and all in order for you to find the shared accommodation on a short-term rentals, because you are pretty much new, right? You don't know the area very well, what's the crime rate and all. So it's better for you to come on a short term, and make sure that initially you arrange yourself some temporary accommodation, so you get familiar with an area, how far you're driving to your office, where you have to take your home, if the groceries are near to you, right? What are the few things which are pretty important for you Monday to Friday if you have to go every day, right? So to make sure that you're selecting your area accordingly. So arranging this temporary accommodation is definitely going to help you a lot. Learn to drive if you haven't already. Yeah, driving is a life skill in US. You will absolutely need it in most part of the US actually. See, most suburban areas are actually pretty car dependent areas. Only certain bigger cities like New York, but California, right? So San Jose, Seattle, bigger cities, Chicago, bigger cities do have good public transportation. They have trains, they have buses, pretty frequent, but at the same time, those bigger cities also has a very high cost of living, right? So, but if you come to any other suburban areas, for sure, public transport is often limited in this area and is very pretty unreliable in a smaller cities and towns. Even you go to a premium suburb as well, the bus service might be 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes you have to wait, or it might not be going to the exact location to your office, or the bus stop may not be there for exact your apartment community, right? So you have to be pretty you at least you should know. Please take some driving classes before you coming here, because you coming here and then taking driving classes in the US is going to be little costlier. If you can afford it, then yeah, you can come here and you can take driving classes here as well. Okay. If you don't already know how to drive, make sure to you learn the driving before you leave the India, so that you can save yourself a lot of money or a trouble for the later. If you already drive in India, just consider practicing in an automatic car or left side driving. This is not that much of a big challenge, but if you already know how to drive a manual transmission, then US doesn't have that much of manual transmissions. That is very less, very very common in the entire dealership parking lot. You'll hardly find one or two manual shift cars, or else everything is actually automatic, right? So if you are new to that automatic shift, then just try to if you are always driving on a manual shift, then it's good for you to just have an exposure to automatic. But if you know the driving already, then yeah, then for you doesn't matter. If you have driven a manual in India, then you can drive anywhere in the world, man. Seriously. Set aside a budget for a car. Yes, I'm asking before why I'm saying set aside a budget for a car. Transportation in US is very expensive if you don't own a car, especially when you are new. Relying on Ubers, taxi or Lyft, taxis or car rentals are quickly can burn actually hole in your wallet. It's going to be pretty costly affair. And the reason why I'm asking to set this budget aside for a car aside ahead, if you're experienced professional, you have good income back in India, then start setting aside some money for a car purchase, convert it to the USD. So when you are ready to buy, whenever you're ready to buy a car in US, as soon as you land here, within a couple of weeks or a very first month itself, you can have your car. Yeah, because so this car is something like if you're staying in those suburbs, right? If you don't know anyone going, especially in your first 3 months or 4 months, depending upon those Ubers or Lyfts or rental cars and all, it's going to be pretty costly. And if you don't have vehicle at your hand, you'll always be like, why did I move here, right? Why I'm facing so many number of challenges. But these are only the initial hiccups actually. So that's the reason, at least first 3 months, people who doesn't have a car, they definitely go through this I won't say trauma, but definitely it goes through their mind that why I'm facing so much of challenges. I thought abroad country should be giving me a good life, but I'm struggling here without a car. I don't have anywhere to go and all that, right? mm. So that's the reason I'm calling this bullet point ahead. Research your car buying process in US. Check the platforms like Kerry Blue Book, which is called KBB, to understand the car prices of a new car or a used car. In US, it's pretty common to buy a used car. So that Kelly Blue Book is nothing but the KBB that will give you a fair price, irrespective of whether you're going to buy from a private seller or a dealer. If you're buying from a private seller, you just have to make sure uh, you can take the car to certain mechanic and you can confirm that the car is in a good condition when you're buying a used car. So I think there are this. If you're familiar with buying with used cars in India as well, then it's just a cake. It's not that much of a big deal for you. And some companies might even have the partnerships with the car dealers. So check with your employer if what deals they have, so that you can get some additional discounts as well. Yeah, but I'm just very clearly calling it out. If you really can afford a car in your very first month, then do make some amount from India, convert into USD, and you'll be pretty good to get started actually on it. All right. Housing, finding your very first apartment. See, one of the very first major steps after arriving is actually securing a long term place to live, because you're coming on H1B, so you're initially it was stamped for the 3 years. So your very first initial accommodation, temporary accommodation, may be in the hotel for 2 weeks, or in your friend's home for 1 month, or in a shared accommodation. Temporary you have taken for 2 months or 3 months, but definitely you need to know how to find your house in US, right? Start with the trusted platforms. Use websites like Zillow, Redfin Rentals, Apartments.com, Rent.com to explore the rental options. These are pretty good trusted sites. So if you're moving alone and you want to save some money, then consider renting a room or sharing an apartment with others. So for room sharing and all, you can utilize the websites like Craigslist. Craigslist has a lot of scam as well, but yeah, just make sure you're searching to the right URLs. Those descriptions look good. Call the number ahead, talk to the real person on the phone, then make sure that address is correct, and then go and visit it. Else, or as I said, Suleka US Classifieds is also a pretty good site in order for you to find a shared accommodation, especially if you're looking for an Indian roommates. Understand the lease considerations as well if you are going for an apartment on your own. So most leases in US are actually 12 months. Make sure to read the lease terms carefully before signing. Check for the details like rent, security deposits. You might be giving, because you're pretty much new to the US, you might be giving a 2 month of advance security deposit, which means you have to give the 2 months of rent in advance, which should be taken as a security deposit. Or is there any maintenance fees or any penalties for breaking the lease early? So be familiar here. The leases are always locked for 12 months. So anytime you are leaving in between, you will be responsible for paying the at least minimum 4 months. Or some apartments have a 3 to 2 months. Yeah. So consider the proximity to work, and definitely every Monday to Friday you'll be going from your home to your office. So definitely you have to make sure that the location is proximity to work is pretty good, and also to grocery stores and any public transportations. If at all you are not driving, make sure you're taking a certain apartment which has a bus stop, or you're taking an apartment which is a walkable distance to a metro station, right? So consider all those in your finding your very first apartment. Transportation perspective, say buying a car and getting around. Buying a car in your first 6 months, as I mentioned earlier, car is almost a necessity in US suburbs. So if you are new, if you don't have that enough money when coming from India, so I want to definitely you'll be struggling in first 4 months in order to keep certain amount aside, save as much as possible, so you have the down payment amount, or you have the at least full amount in order to buy car outright, or at least you have a good down payment amount so you can go for a loan, right? So in your very first 6 months, make sure that if you don't have enough money from India, you haven't converted that money, then which means you have to struggle for a couple of months, or you should have a certain friend or a colleague who should actually help you to take you to from your home to office every day, or at least help you here and there on a weekend groceries or any key trips, or groceries and all. Anyhow, you can do everything online as well, but going to Monday to Friday, going and coming back to the office is pretty important, right? So make sure you have certain adjustments taken care, and you are saving the money for the down payment or to buy the car outright. So many banks in the US actually offer auto loans at pretty competitive interest rates. So opening a bank account, your regular bank account, maybe open with Bank of America and Wells Fargo, and don't keep entire money in it. The pretty bigger the US banks are, they give that much amount of less amount in the interest. Hardly, even you keep 100K, bigger banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they hardly give you even a 50 cents, right, in a year. So keep some $5,000 something in these bigger banks, and then opt for some smaller banks which actually gives you an interest rate of 3%, 4%, or 5%, right? So mostly any online only banks are the one who will be giving you the highest interest rate. And make sure you open a bank account with a bigger bank so that your paycheck is running. And once you have the enough down payment amount, then do open a bank account with Discover or Ali Bank. Right, online only banks are there, so those can actually help you with a lesser down payment amount, or even you don't have a good credit score. If you are actually updating your payslip amount instead of going to Bank of America or other, maybe for a couple of months switch over to this online only banks like Discover or Ali Bank, and right, in that way, if your paycheck is getting deposited, even you don't have a good enough of credit score, the banks will actually grant you a good amount of loan just based upon your offer letter as well, and maybe one or two your last pay slips. Discuss the loan options with your bank and make sure you're aware of these repayment terms. Talk to any of your Indian buddies here, they will explain you the process. Everyone who is new, everyone has gone through the same process, whether they have bought a new car outright, or they have bought a used car with certain down payment and went through the loan process. Yeah, so do touch base with your colleagues, because buying a car is definitely a nightmare process sometimes, or sometimes it's a pretty a piece of cake, right? So make sure you budget for your car, because car prices are pretty high. If your budget is limited, consider buying an used cars from an online platforms like Carvana or Auto Trader, or even some private sellers on a Facebook marketplace. And buying a used car in the US is at least I felt it's pretty straightforward compared to India. So here, every car will have a car history report. There is something called Carfax. So every car which will go through certain accidents, certain repairs, and everything. Every time it goes to the mechanic showroom, there is an entry of that particular car in the Carfax report. So you can request for a Carfax report. Check the Carfax report history. Mostly dealers will actually give you the Carfax history report, or if you're buying it from your anyone on the private party, you can find them on online options where you can pay for $5 to someone, and they can run the car VIN number and give you the Carfax history report. Definitely, if a used car, get it inspected by a mechanic before buying. Please make sure you prioritize your safety, reliability, and the mileage over not just the budget piece of it. All right. Yeah. You might be thinking why I'm talking about car a lot or accommodation a lot, because definitely if you're coming to the US work wise, you already have certain skill set. You are already working in some certain project for the same client. You might be coming to the non-site. So work wise, you might have already have good skills. But these are certain things which everyone faces as an initial hurdles. No one, I have never seen anyone complaining about in the first 2 or 3 months that they don't understand their work. No, the people will only complain about, hey, I don't know how to get around in this area, I don't have a car, it's pretty hard to go out without a car, right? So that's the reason it's pretty important. That's the reason I'm giving this important, because very first few months, unless you have that your very first car, you will be facing certain types of challenges. If at all you're staying in a certain areas where you don't have good options for your metro stations or buses. A work and professional culture. So your day one at work, on your first day, complete your important formalities like I-9 form or any other paperwork which your employer requires. So I won't get much in detail. So day one at your work, mostly this will be covered or guided by your reporting manager or a HR team. So there's nothing much for me to talk in detail. Uh, Adapting to the US work culture. So work culture in US may be very different from what you have used to in India. People value a small talk and a casual conversation at work a lot. So take some time to build a rapport with your colleagues. If you are someone who is not good at small talk, then I would recommend you to understand the US culture or understand what movies are playing in US or what games they are watching. So have some level of information, high level headlines and all. So you can do the little bit of small talk, right? No one likes someone who can directly get into the technical discussion, right? So be open to the collaboration and understand the importance of communicating clearly and at a manageable speed to your colleagues. Yeah. So I'll repeat once again, these two are pretty important. You will think that because you know you're pretty good at work, you'll be easily get adapt in the US work culture. But take a note of these two very carefully. People value a small talk a lot and casual conversation at works. So if you are not someone who is comfortable doing small talk, then I think definitely you have a room for improvement there. Prep yourself, take some lessons, listen to some online videos, right? So that you're familiar and how to have a comfortable small talk conversations. However technically strong you are, you have to be pretty open to collaboration and understand the importance of communicating clearly and at a manageable speed of your colleagues. So I'm not just saying, yeah, US is a complete English speaking country, but when you work in IT, you will be working with an Americans, you'll be working with folks from Russia, you'll be working with folks from China, you'll be working folks from India, you'll be working people from UK as well, right? So based upon your client, US has lot of immigrants actually, so you will see a lot different type of communication speeds, right? So it's pretty important that you give importance of communicating clearly and at a manageable speed so that you can make your point to your colleagues. Take time to observe and learn the unspoken rules of the workplace etiquette. If how they are coming to at work, are they, if you are men, are they growing beards, are they having a clean shave, are they following certain dress code, right? It's pretty important that make yourself presentable and follow. No one will tell you certain rules. No one is going to tell you that you're not following or you're not dressing up correctly, right? You have to learn the unspoken rules of the workplace ethics for sure. Personal finance and banking. So as you come for 6 months, make sure the very first week itself, open a US bank account. Within first few days, open a US bank account with a popular bank like Chase, Bank of America, or Wells Fargo, so that you can direct your salary deposit to this account and consider setting up an online banking to make transaction easier. Yeah, all the banking stuff is done online here. So but yeah, just from a banking perspective, make sure have certain amount of first 1 or 2 paychecks into the Bank of America bigger bank. Keep that as your checking account. Keep that for your open a credit card as well. Initially when you come, you won't be having any credit score, so you might have to deposit your own money and then start building credit on your own. Yeah. So start building credit as soon as possible. You are here, so apply for a credit card to begin building your credit history, which is essential for renting apartments, because when you rent apartments, they're going to check your credit history. If you are very new to this country, then definitely you won't have any credit history in the past, right? So for you, they don't know whether you are capable to pay certain monthly rents. Are you capable to pay a certain loan amount for car, right? So do apply for credit card and start building your credit history, and that's very important, especially in US. uh, Personal financing perspective, one more is, as I initially mentioned, open the accounts with the bigger banks for initial 1 or 2 paychecks. But once you have some cushion in that account for, like, say, 2 paychecks, $5,000 $6,000 are in, then do open a good online only accounts. So online only banks are, they'll be giving you very highest interest rate. So just go to some Credit Karma or any site and try to see which banks are actually giving you highest savings rate. Check their reviews and which are year you're coming, right? So find certain things, and say Ali Bank is a pretty good example. And Ali Bank gives you a good interest rate at 4% as well sometimes, and sometimes it fluctuates. It's a floating interest rate, so sometimes you get 3%, sometimes you get 4%. So there are other banks as well. City Group is also there, so you can open a City account as well. So open, then start moving your additional paychecks into a savings account, so that you'll at least gain some interest on them. And financing and banking perspective, yeah, one more thing is, from your employer perspective, when you are pretty new to the US, um, just like in India, you have provident fund for your retirement. Here as well, they have a 401k policy. So even in the US, you are from a long term uh, for entire 6 years, because this is a temporary visa, right? So once your engagement is done, you will be returning back to your country. So if you're coming, uh, irrespective of it, whether your stay is 3 years or whether it's a stay is 6 years, or if you extend your to a different visa for PR and later as well, you need to make sure beginning of your first year itself, build your retirement accounts, right? They, if you are worried about not staying long, then don't go for a 401k retirement plan, go for a Roth IRA. So difference is just that 401k is something is deducted just like PF before your uh, taxes. When the before your taxes itself, the money will actually move into that retirement account, so you won't be getting taxed right now. But whenever you're going to withdraw, at that time the amount would get taxed. But if you are taking that money before your retirement age, then you have to pay additional 10% penalty apart from the tax. So if you're not very sure that you're going to stay here long, if you're here only for 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, then maybe from a short term perspective, on especially on this temporary visa, I would recommend to take a Roth IRA. So Roth IRA is something, you'll open this Roth IRA account after your taxes, which means the amount which you grow in this particular account is not taxable again. Maybe the interest which you accumulate is taxable, but not the actual amount, because the actual amount is actually after is your paycheck taxes. You are utilizing that amount into your Roth IRA account, right? So after 3 years or 4 years, if you're going out, you have that additional retirement amount, and it's also a tax saving benefit for yearly for you to file taxes. So do open a Roth IRA even you're here for 2 years or 3 years as well. Yeah, if you're here for entire 6 years, do make sure all the 6 years do the Roth IRA, take the benefit every yearly when you file your taxes, take that tax benefit. Yeah, yeah, many people doesn't even know very first time when they come, first few months, 6 months as well, people don't even know that there is a retirement policy, and they can save some money in it, or they can save certain money, set aside some money in that retirement account in order to get tax exemptions, right? So yeah, I think if you are definitely, that's the reason I'm calling that retirement account opening as well, so that you can open that from your finances perspective, open that retirement account. Social and personal adjustments. uh, Building a social network. Moving to a new country can feel very isolating. So make an effort to meet people outside of your work. You can actually attend cultural events or join some local community groups or participate in a hobby-based meetups. Uh, yeah, if you want to stick to your Indian culture, then definitely there are a lot of Indian cultural events happens. There are a lot of Indian community groups are there. Online groups are there. Go to nearest temples. You can find your a lot of Indian community. Or at least in my case, I was when I was new, I have utilized meetup.com. So meetup.com, you can based upon your hobbies. Like I went for hiking, I went for runnings, beach runs. I did for 10 miles run, 5K runs. There's a vegan group. If you're interested, you can join a vegan group, right? If you're interested in hiking, then you can join hiking groups. So you can have some friends outside of your work as well. That's definitely going to help you to build that social connections and have understand the US culture more and more. Yeah. So don't stick to your Indian community again when you come to the US. I would recommend more. You have stayed in India long, so you understand Indian culture. Definitely, you still want to continue, then you can continue same Indian community in US as well. But do make sure join these hobby-based meetups so you can get connections outside of your work. Have some friends from America so that you can understand US culture more actually. So these kind of connections will actually help you navigate the life in US and create the sense of belonging. See, managing homesickness in a very first few years is pretty hard. So it is normal to feel homesick during your very first few months. So stay connected with your family and friends through video calls. Celebrate small wins. So every milestones matters when adjusting to the new environment. So if you can attend a birthday party or a video call, attend. If you're yearly once you're going traveling to India, then for a key weddings or some events, make sure whatever that win is, right? So if you're going for the bigger events once in a year, or if you're missing certain events because you're not able to travel, so celebrate your small wins. If you simply you can attend the video call of this particular event so that you can have your presence, right? You can still connect it to your family members back home. So health insurance and healthcare perspective. Understand your health insurance plan provided by your employer. Familiarize yourself with the terms like what are insurance deductibles, co-pays, and out-of-pocket maximum. This is something is similar to in India as well. If you have medical insurance, so pretty similar. So based upon your paycheck, make sure in your offer letter, please review this as well to see your employer insurance plan. Every employer will will give you this health insurance plan, but you have to make sure the plan is how good the plan is, right? So make sure review that plan as well, so that you know are you getting a good deal from your employer, because don't want to be in a situation where you're say you're getting a $6,000 per month, and your insurance premium itself is $1,000. Then boom, $1,000 is gone in your paycheck. And this is apart from taxes. There are federal taxes, state taxes, social security taxes, right? So there are other taxes as well. So make sure you review your employer offer. What does your employer provide? What is your insurance plan your employer is providing in US? So either if that's not good, maybe you have to adjust for 6 months or 8 months, and then later on you can make a switch to a good employer who can meet your offer letter or meet your insurance needs, right? We'll talk about moving to a different employer maybe in a different episode. But yeah, if you have some challenges initially, if you're not getting a good offer letter and all, then definitely this is something will also be on your mind in your very first 6 months. So that's why I'm just calling it out. So Embrace the journey. Moving to the US on a H1B visa is a major milestone in your career and life. While it may seem overwhelming initially, it gets easier as you settle in. For sure, if you talk to any of your colleagues in US, first 3 months, 4 months, 6 months might be harder for them till they settle in their apartment, till they have their car and all. Uh, so, so do embrace the journey, and definitely this is one of the major milestone in your career for sure. But today we talked more from a life aspect perspective, because career perspective is something, if you are an experienced professional, if you are coming on this particular H1B visa, then you are definitely that skilled resource, right? So career perspective also, it's a major milestone. You're working in a different culture, right? So you're coming from India. Indian work culture is different compared to the US work culture. So yeah, so do embrace the journey, but definitely based upon everyone's experiences so far, I will definitely promise you that it's going to get easier as you settle in couple of months, right? So the first 6 months are just about adapting, learning, and laying the foundation for the future you have here. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. So, moving to a new country is never easy, but with the right preparation and a mindset, you can make your transition smooth and enjoyable. If you find this episode helpful, please share it with your friends and others who might benefit from these tips. And I'll see you in the next episode. Stay connected, spread happiness, have fun. Thank you.